What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream this week. Today, we're going to be doing a live debate of sorts to discuss whether or not Steam Deck is better than the Nintendo Switch. We're also going to be talking about your weekly questions here in the AV community that you guys have. And I would again love if you guys comment down below and let's just have a nice little debate as to which one we think is better. So, if your Steam Deck for this particular debate, comment down below and let me know why you're Team Steam Deck, and if you are Team Nintendo, counteractively let me know that as well. Now, just to kind of weigh in a little bit, I'll give you my position on this entire thing. I actually own both of them right now. I am actually Team Nintendo. And it's going to sound weird at first, but honestly speaking, I personally feel as though while Steam Deck offers an immense amount of value with emulation and you can do a ton of things that you could on a computer, if you already own a laptop, if you already own a computer, there's not really much of a reason to run out and buy a Steam Deck. It is a very niche and novel thing. Not everybody can appreciate. So that's part one of this. But we'll do a little pause here to give a shout out and welcome our new member. I do not know how to pronounce that. I'm just going to say welcome aboard, Sasha. I don't know how to say your name. I do apologize, but welcome aboard. If you can tell me how to say your name, that would be great. And welcome to the VIP family. Make sure that you go over to the playlists and find your various model of your television to get the settings that we have available here as exclusive perks. And also, you'll be able to use our live stream emojis now as a member. So I'll just kind of give you a little One Piece Luffy right here and just kind of show you that you're able to do that. So again, welcome to the VIP family. Now, part two of my answer as to why I'm Team Nintendo. I have a family. Now, a lot of people have families, right? And a lot of people can enjoy Steam Deck, but Steam Deck seems more like a bachelor kind of thing, or like a young boy that doesn't really have a whole lot of, I guess, desire to share his gaming with others. And I say that in the sense that, like, Nintendo is all about family fun. So, you can't play a game like Mario Party with the gyro sensors and like all that cool stuff and like sitting there with your family, like doing all the mini games and trying to beat it. The pure adrenaline of that is just like, that is amazing. And you just can't get that on Steam Deck. The other thing you can't get on Steam Deck is online playability in games like Mario Kart. So, tearing it up online and having fun and just getting baked, honestly, by some of the most monstrous players. That's a very rewarding thing. And when you finally beat some of those players, like I have many times, it also is equally rewarding. So I think there's also the part, for me, it has that kickstand built in. You don't have to buy accessories. It plays 100% of its dedicated games, where Steam, some things are compatible, some aren't. You're going to need to tinker a lot to get it to work. It's just a lot of hand holding with the Steam Deck, then you've got to be willing to take on a project where the Switch, you turn that thing on and it's just ready to rock, And I think for me, that's the huge one here. Now, we have a comment coming in from Spooky Slaps. I don't know if that's like some sort of like trolling name or something like that. I have no idea. I hope I wasn't just kind of like baited into saying some sort of like slur or something, but if so, totally just reading a name here. But I'm going to read your comment here. You said Nintendo Switch is better because at least it has good exclusives. And I agree with that statement because the recent patch for Mario Kart 8 just recently launched, and you're now able to do the one thing I've been complaining about since my first Blue Shell, and that's being able to select a race where you can do all blue shells or no blue shells, or only speed augment items, where again you don't get Mario Karted anymore. So it's kind of like, now it's all about skill, how well you take that turn, how well you know the lay of the land kind of thing, and not some guy that just got a lucky roll of the dice being able to blast by when you did all this work to win the match. So that part of it I can definitely appreciate more. So I totally agree with the better exclusives. And then of course you have things that like everybody can enjoy. Like, I don't know about you, but like those classic games like Kirby's, your Zeldas, everybody's hyped for the brand new Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, that alone is going to be incredible. So, we've got Bill, what's going on, man? You said Switch is a Pokemon player. Switch is a Pokemon player? I don't know what you mean. Like, is that like what you buy Switch for, or is that why you personally bought Switch? Steam Deck is a load of hogwash. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you there because while I might be enjoying my Steam Deck experience after having to randomly turn it off for a couple of days, turn it back on, that red screen bullshit went away. It is still a lot of tinkering. Like there are just things that like the echo cancellation sync issue. Like why does that happen when you go to desktop mode? I don't know. And sometimes the thing just freezes on you. It just happens sometimes. So I've never had those issues on my Nintendo Switch where like every time I want audio to work, it always works 100% of the time. There's no tinkering. There's no like learning curve because it's Linux. It's just have fun. And I think as a handheld, that's like one of the more important things for people to kind of get in on. And I think for me, that also was like one of the parts I loved the most. So yeah. Kelly Rivard, what's going on? You said, I get why people like the Steam Deck, but Switch has better exclusives. You have to emulate on the Switch or on the Switch to play Mario, and that's too much. You said too much work, so yeah, pay less and do less work on Switch. I think you meant Steam Deck there, but I do get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to emulate to get any kind of Nintendo support on Steam Deck. It just doesn't come natively, which is obviously more work for a lot of people. Second best is the PSP. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people still swear by it, myself included. I personally like emulating PSP now because the visuals can be like so much better. It looks like an entirely different game, a different experience, all that good stuff. So for me, I tend to gravitate towards the classic stuff like PSP and PS1 and all that thing, like all those things like that through what is it, Duck Station on for PlayStation 1 games. That's always really fun. It cleans up the games very well. Uh, we've got bro. Yes, PSP was my childhood for real. What's going on, Chrome? Loved PSP. Bought it in Japan. Oh, that's really cool. When it came out, you said tier. But so tier. It was supposed to be an emoji, I guess, or an expression. You said, but the Switch is awesome. Yeah, most definitely. December very own. What's going on? You said, what's up, Q and chat? You said, got to go with the Nintendo. The classics like Metroid, Zelda keep me coming back. And I think that's also like one of the most important things. Like, as the times go on, it's like we have those classics that like are truly beloved, like the Metroid Prime series, like Mario, like Kirby, like Zelda. Like the things that like Nintendo holds on to their IPs very well and they protect them aggressively. They're not like let's dump our IPs off to the highest bidder and just pump out a bunch of hardware over and over again. Nintendo is like, we'll have potato graphics, but you'll have fun on our games. And I think that's the thing that like I can appreciate and not appreciate at the same time. I do wish they would have the same level of graphic fidelity as some of the other machines. But then of course it would start to kind of go down the same path how now everything is like basically turning into like a digital movie and then all the issues that kind of come along with that. So I think from that perspective, it's a little bit better that we don't have it happen like that. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. We've got Vice City Stories on PSP. I've actually never played a single Grand Theft Auto or Vice City game, anything like that. I literally just kind of avoid those games if I'm being honest with you. I don't know, man. I feel like and now this is probably I'm probably gonna get heat for this. Kind of really don't care though. I feel like those kind of games are like crime simulators, right? Like it's just like training for criminals, right? Like or at risk youth to decide how they're gonna go about society and plan it out first to kind of get the idea of what that sensation would feel like of stealing a car, crashing into a bunch of people, shooting people up on the sidewalk or whatever the hell. I genuinely don't like domestic terrorist type games like that, like because I'm not a domestic terrorist. So for me, it's really annoying this whole concept of like torment society and like do what thou wilt be the most horrible representation of a human being in society. Yes, it's digital. Yes, it's a game, but it's a game based on like cities like San Francisco. I saw they had a game based off of that before, and it's like I have no desire to go walk the streets and run people over and do whatever you can do in that game. I still don't know the full extent of it. And again, I'm sure for some it's just fun, but for me that I never really got into that. Not to again bag on you, but just kind of explaining why I never really got into those types of games. What's going on, Big C Dub? You said the Switch way more optimized. And yeah, it's kind of like when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, for me, optimization is huge for anything. You guys kind of see what I'm going through with the Samsung S95B, patch after patch they release. It's not the best. And you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I want more out of my device. How can I get a little bit more? And at every turn where you try to get more out of your device, it's just kind of like the developers either have to put it in or you're kind of screwed when it comes to the TV stuff. And then with this whole Steam Deck thing, more or less, it's like you're going to have to sit there trying to figure out by Googling and like basically it's a constant project really to figure out how do I fix this thing that went wrong that shouldn't have gone wrong and things like that. So it is what it is. We've got so Black Adam movie is satanic. Absolutely, I said what I said and I'm not sorry. And if you're, in your feelings or whatever your problem is because I give a religious PSA, tough shit. I think it's one of those things that you've got to understand with me on this particular channel. It's like I'm going to do what I think is right for just anything in general, whether it's a PSA on broken products or like when I'm reviewing a movie, for example, because I do that from time to time on this channel quite a bit. It's very important that like we're honest about the movies and things that aren't comfortable. Like in my last review I did in my last video, we're talking about the 40X, the Avatar, and how they totally have like Smurf nipples. Okay, like you're looking at the Avatar nipples. That's not something that a parent is going to want their child to see if they're always watching the, parental guidelines and things like that. So that part of it is always important. And then again, if I see like people who have been very adamant on this channel, which of course they have, about, religion, faith, family, right? And we're going to talk about, hey, Quantum is going to recommend a family flick for you. I'm not going to recommend the one with devils and demons because maybe your abuela doesn't really like that, okay? It's kind of like that thing. Like, and again, I have a Hispanic family, so maybe that doesn't matter to you, right? But it matters to my family. So maybe that's something you should think about. So again, I realize that he's just trolling, but I also kind of like to poke back at these losers because that's all they do. Shit talkers will get removed. Don't even try. I appreciate it, Kelly. That's much appreciated. It's just kind of like, I don't know, man. When you get to a certain kind of topic, whether it's games, movies, sport teams, I don't really care what it is, people really get in their feelings over it. But I think one thing I've seen an increase of is like, if you are remotely religious, conservative, or you have like any belief that like you can just have a different belief than theirs, it could be like, I like the color blue, they'll get triggered. Well, what's wrong with the color pink? It's like, well, I don't want to wear pink. Like, you know what I mean? Like little shit like that is like all day, every day what they'll try to like anything to start an argument, anything to, you know what I mean? There's always the last word kind of people. So for that, I don't really worry too much. But back onto the topic at hand, since we are having a debate, would love if we can get back on to figuring out which one between these two are better. Now, what prompted this whole thing is like I was having a conversation and people were saying that, it was really heated too. It was like Steam Deck on the one hand, and then we had another guy that was like, I actually prefer the Nintendo Switch. And I'm just watching people go back and forth about this. And so I wanted to see what you guys have to say about it because we like to pride ourselves on like buying the better TVs and the better screens and the better stuff. And then like when it comes to gaming, for whatever reason, we're like, I'll take a potato if you let me. Like I'll have IPS garbage, I'll have washed out black levels, totally fine with that, totally okay. And I'm not gonna lie, I read an article like earlier this morning where Steam, I guess one of the engineers or designers or whatever it is, for Steam or Valve or whatever it was, decided that they were going to like do an interview, talk about the next direction and how basically they're not going to upgrade hardware, but they're kind of admitting that I was right the entire time about Steam Deck. Battery life is totally a problem. And the screen is totally a problem, which is something that they're looking to do. And those were like one of my two biggest things. Now, of course, many trolls tried to laugh me around the internet, but Valve admitted I was right on that. Like, you cannot look at that dog shit screen and say it's good. It's not. Even though my Steam Deck works, like the screen is, you can probably find better experiences on the Wii U. And like that little gamepad thing that looked like a Fisher Price toy was probably not the best thing in the world. So that for me was like a huge thing. So shout out to Kelly Rivard for holding it down tonight. I appreciate all of the love you're showing the channel. I thank you, man. I appreciate it. And we're going to get back on it. What's going on, TKK? You said good evening, brother. Same to you, man. Saw your video. You did a great job explaining a lot of the differences that you saw with the Samsung S95B, and it's always fun to hang out with some of my fellow colleagues here in the AV community, so I appreciate it. And then, of course, to talk gaming. All right, so we've got more questions coming in. We've got Team Steam Deck seems to be the one to go with. From, what is your name? What did I just read? I'm not even going to say that out loud. That's disgusting. I'm not going to read that though. Okay, let's move on. We're going to go. That made me laugh though. We got, but yeah, back on topic. Nintendo is king. We've got, I miss the Wii with the fams. I'm sorry, you said, I miss the Wii. All my fams are on the Wii or GameCube for Nintendo. Bro, those are legendary consoles, man. Like, you've never experienced fun like GameCube with the family, Mario Party nights, you know what I mean? Like, that makes it. And doing that on the Switch, like, I think what has been the difference in the kind of people that decide for the Steam Deck over the Nintendo Switch and vice versa, I think it's people that prefer fun over people that prefer like trendiness. Like, because most of the people that play these games, like multi-plat games and things like that, don't really care much for Switch, obviously. But people who care about family fun games gravitate towards it, right? Like people with kids, people with spouses. Like you want to get your girlfriend into gaming, maybe. Maybe she's a little cold in a game, he doesn't really like it. Buy her Animal Crossing. Bam, you've got her. Now she's designing houses. Now she's planting her little gardens. I'm telling you right now, bro, it's more of a family inclusive type deal on Nintendo. Where on something like the Steam Deck, all I've seen, and I mean this in the most polite way a human can say, the most disrespectful thing I'm about to follow this up with, all I've seen come out of the Steam Deck camp are people who try to justify their purchase. And it's usually relatively young Gen Zers that like typically are from high school to college age. That's usually what I see, and it's this aggressive need to troll the internet for anyone that dislikes this product. Find them, try to make a mockery of them, and it's a joke because it's a fucking product. Adults know that, but kids, being kids, they're gonna do whatever. But it's to the point where it's like, but that's the difference, right? It's like we have families, we want to have fun, and at least that's my perspective. If I'm wrong, now is definitely the time on this live stream debate to be like, actually, no, I like the Steam Deck because X, Y, Z. I would totally love to hear a different perspective. But it seems like, and also for you guys that likes like Nintendo, let me know, like, why is it specifically, like, what did you get specifically the Switch for? Like, what made that like click for you that was like, that's the console I'm going to go with? Because I only really know my perspective, so I would definitely love to hear from everybody else. We have Starlight Shiracy. What's going on? You said, I think Steam Deck really needs to be worked on more. Valve needs to understand that then collecting more money and RMA, yeah, basically, it does have a lot of issues. I'm on my second Steam Deck, I think. I believe it's not the third. Is it the third? I can't remember. Whatever. I've gone through Steam Deck and issue after issue with it, and it's not really fun. Let me just point out the fact that when you buy it, by the way, it feels like an $800 trust fall because there's no tracking. Like, I don't know if you got tracking, but there was no tracking the last two times I bought the Steam Deck, and it's just like you pay like fucking like all this money out, and you're just waiting for them to deliver the goods. So it's kind of scary in that aspect. And if you don't like it or it gets damaged, it's a lot harder to RMA it. So that's definitely something I don't like. They need to start selling it at regular retailers. Like it's a handheld console. It wouldn't kill you to sell it everywhere else, especially since it doesn't really play every single Steam game. So I don't see what the big like gating thing is. But I don't know. Maybe they don't have enough units to move to big box retail yet. Which again kind of boils over into my next thing. I love like how I have all the like the purchase justifiers, like, oh, Steam Deck is dominant, Steam Deck's gonna win. It's like, dude, that's fun. You can have fun with that's fine. You can have fun with your Steam Deck, but like a lot of people also go on to say like there's no reason to own a Switch whatsoever after the Steam Deck coming out. It's taking over. Nintendo's just done. And I'm sitting here the whole time and I'm laughing and I'm like, dude, Nintendo sold over 100 million units and Steam Deck is only at 1 million. It's not like some instant classic. It's got work to do. And the issues, dude, if I have RMA issues, I'm sure everybody out there has some issue or another that needs to be tinkered on and worked on. And then, of course, you'll kind of be met with that same, like, you have to work on it a bit. So that for me is a little rough. Now, Kelly Ravad says, plus the Steam Deck is a first. Thank you. Exactly. It is the Gen 1 version of itself now, and it looks bulky as heck. I bet money they will release the slim Steam Deck in a couple years. And that's a really good point. Like, with all of this, like, hyping up of this device, it's bigger or as big as the Wii U gamepad that came out ages ago, and the screen isn't even much better. Like, I would almost forgive it if it was like a big ass OLED screen in there, but it's not. And then on top of that, like you were saying, Kelly, it's like, you know, these companies do have a problem with releasing better versions a little too soon. It's like, really, you couldn't pack in a better battery? That's basic at this point, right? You knew to use a USB-C, so we know the technology is there. I don't know. That's just my thing. LMAO hacked PS Vita. We've got stream your Steam Deck to XT. I don't know what that means. Enoch says, "What's good, Kelly Ravad? It's been a minute. How you been?" We've got off topic, but I was thinking of picking up the S95B or A80K. You're totally on topic. This is both a live debate for Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch and AV Weekly questions, so you're totally fine, man. And if anybody has AV questions as well, I'm here. Now's the time to ask those as well. So I would say if you're on the fence and you're thinking about picking up either the S95B or the A95K, in my personal opinion, the A95K, or not the A95K, the S95B, they're labeled a little too similarly. My bad there. The S95B is still the better TV to go with. Sony, for whatever reason, still struggles greatly with artifacts, particularly with motion processing enabled. It does get a little bit more strained. I do like the way Sony renders contrast better, but I do have a problem with the motion. That is a big point of contingency for me. And then, of course, the vibrancy from Quantum Dot is nothing to sneeze at. The brightness is substantially more noticeable in that direction. Input lag also substantially better. If you are a gamer, you are going to get more input lag out of there. You're a PC gamer, it's just don't even look at the Sony in that aspect, because 144 hertz on the S95B versus, you can only do a max of 120 on the 80K. You're not really getting as much. And I don't know. It's tomatoes. It's really going to come down to if you appreciate certain aspects. Like, if you don't care about quantum dot color, the S95B is probably not really going to be all that big of a deal to you then. And that's kind of like what I would say there. But personally, talking from what I did, where I put my money, I still have the 55-inch Samsung S95B. Now, full disclosure, the 65 did go bad because 1420.9 is a firmware that just ruins the experience for me, and I just kind of couldn't do it. But, if you don't have the day one version to compare it to, you might be more forgiving to it than I can be now, that because I know where I came from, right? My day one starting point is different from the people coming in at 1420.9 or 1310 or 1304. It's totally different because after the 1200s, they started destroying the TV fairly quickly. So I would safely say that would be my recommendation for sure. All right, so we've got what's going on, Craig? Welcome. Thanks for stopping by tonight. We've got the Switch for Pokemon, Mario Karts, and Smash Bros. Absolutely. Smash Bros is that 10 out of 10 experience, man. You can have some absolutely epic moments on Smash Bros. I really love it. And not only that, though, but like for everybody saying like, oh, you can get like Switch on PC and all that stuff, like I feel bad about that kind of thing, though. Like, am I the only one that like downloads programs to like dump my ROMs of my existing older games, my libraries? Because like it just seems like everybody just cracks all these games. Like they'll be like, "Oh, don't buy the day one version of Guardians of the Galaxy on Xbox. You can just crack it illegally." It's like, why do that if you actually like the game? Like, buy the game you actually want to play so that they make more of what you want and you're actually investing in it. Like, even if I was like dead broke, I don't have a dime in my pocket, like I'm not gonna like hold back the developer by stealing from them. Like, I don't know, that's just my stance on it though. I'm not here to like preach to anybody, but that's just how I feel. We've got the reason why people say that about Switch is because you can put an emulator on Steam Deck and play Switch games at higher resolution. Honestly, it's Nintendo's fault for not releasing the Switch Pro. I mean, but you can homebrew the Nintendo Switch, so that doesn't really follow. Like, it, yes, you have to have like an unpatched Switch, but you still can homebrew it, and you can still find on eBay even unpatched switches that they sell for the sole purpose of jailbreaking and adding the homebrew. And then because you have the SD card slot, you do the expandable storage up to a terabyte or whatever. It becomes essentially the same thing as a Steam Deck in the sense that you now can do all that emulation that you would have done on the Steam Deck, and it's cheaper. So, and then again, you have access to all the Nintendo games that are legendary. So, I mean, I get some aspect of the Steam Deck being easier for emulation because, of course, you have constant working on the back end through Linux users and things like that. But I don't know. I just wouldn't want to rip people off. That's just kind of like not my thing there. Um, Limited time run offers, amazing classic deals. We've got Steam Deck works for me. I gave my Switch to my nephew after using the Steam Deck for about a month. Really not all that portable though. Yeah, and that's kind of like the other thing. Like, if you're gonna be a handheld device, I think the biggest taboo is don't make it so big that you couldn't even contemplate putting it in even a cargo pocket. Like, that's how big it is. It's seriously massive. I mean, you could probably fit it in there, but it would be sticking out ridiculously. And at least the Switch would have a little bit more of an ability to be more portable, and it's lighter, things like that. I mean, it's a whole little debacle here. We've got thanks, I appreciate it. S95B, I trust your judgment, fam. No problem, man. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm definitely here to help you out. If you want to unlock that experience, make sure you join for $5 versus paying 500. Snag my settings, and then you'll see exactly what I have on my end. I did all the way up to firmware 1420.9 as far as settings go, but anything after that point, I won't have updated firmware settings. But settings are pretty much workable after that point anyway. I feel like with all the press they're getting about the S95B, they can only do so much anyway, so it is what it is. All right, so from everything I've seen so far, most people kind of have an understanding that, between the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck, Nintendo is where it's at for the most part, at least from what I'm reading in the comments here and what we've been talking about. I've seen way more people showing the support for the Switch, and I don't see hardly anyone agreeing that there is absolutely no point in buying a Switch or owning a Switch or anything like that, which is actually a breath of fresh air because I was seeing quite the opposite. But it always is nice to have these kind of debates. If you guys want more kinds of debates on different things, like whether it's AV related, we're staying away from controversial stuff, but you guys get what I'm saying. Just keep it appropriate, obviously, and we can have a debate about anything else. So maybe in the comment section, put it what you want the next live stream to have a debate on, and we can just open it up to the community and we can talk about different things, whether it's what we think about CES or movies or whatever. It doesn't really matter. We can have fun all day, every day. Last comment of the night. I wish Nintendo was better when it comes to game preservation for their older titles. That would be my only critique on Nintendo. Otherwise, the Switch is currently my console of choice. Yeah, I think I would have preferred for them to make it backwards compatible. I think that would be my big gripe. Like, I feel like they should have had some sort of program or system where through your Nintendo account, right? If you bought games digitally online, it's a digital file, right? They should be able to have some sort of internal emulation for everybody that bought digital games on Wii or 3DS or whatever to play on Nintendo Switch and to look and run better on the Switch. I think that would have been more forgivable than what they did. How it's like, oh, it's just straight up a new console and nothing transfers, nothing. You're just kind of locked into the older machines. Tough. I think that's kind of Nintendo's big weakness. That and their hardware is just behind everyone, like to the point where even mobile games have better graphics than what Nintendo Switch can offer. Now, again, the fun, the value of that is always huge. I love, again, just the generational fun games like we all know and love. I think that's the part that keeps everybody coming back to Nintendo. But yeah, I definitely appreciate what you had to say, JR. So that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming out and having this little debate here and just kind of having fun. More physical media is appreciated. I totally agree. And yeah, until the next live stream.